Black and white because it's a reflection. I'm painting like a past moment already. At the moment you're painting, it's already in the past, and I kind of like this, taking the distance from the time. My name is Tigran Tsitoghdzyan. I'm from Armenia. I was born in Armenia, living in New York. I'm an artist painter. I started to paint very young, as long as I remember myself, and I was painting with pencils and watercolors like every kid, I think, from age of like, I don't know, like 2, 3, 4, like, and we had a very large library with art books at home, and I was going through all these periods of painting, especially I think Italian painting, Renaissance painting at the time, and I was asking my parents how they get this very bright colors, and me with my pencils, I cannot get anything close to that. And my dad was explaining that it's oil and it's like different technique, and I asked him to get oils because I wanted to do something similar with those colors and light and everything. So when I was 5, I finally got oil paints, and I started painting with oil like full time from that moment on. It was, yeah, until now it's been long years. I think my parents saw the talent in me very early, and they believed in me, and they have been very encouraging. And yeah, they created this kind of perfect conditions for me to grow as an artist, because they are like very much into, like, my mom is a concert pianist and my dad is a philosopher, so like, and we had our apartment, which I was growing through the communist times. It was like kind of like thinkers get together place, you know, and I was growing in very, very healthy conditions, like this very creative chaos apartment where everybody were getting together, talking about art, music, literature. So I grew up with that, and it definitely inspired me a lot. They were like great help to me. I think from age of 8, there was like the biggest, I think, art critic in Armenia at the time, Henrik Iguityan. He was also coming to our place, and he was following my like little time, young paintings, and he really believed in me from the day one, and he wanted to start showing me very, very young. And finally, my parents were kind of like protecting me. They didn't want to start showing that early. And finally, I did the first solo show in Yerevan at age of 10. And then that show went to Russia with Roland Bykov, who opened my show in Moscow during film festival in this huge lobby. It was like a very big deal. They named me to Lenin's scholarship, which was like the biggest scholarship in arts and culture in Soviet Union at the time. We're like just 15 kids. And then that show continued to Spain and USA, and that was kind of the big beginning that started for me as a kid. It's really difficult to mention one artist as an inspiration, because I had so many through my life. Every period, I think, every age, I had one. I didn't even have one, I had few that was looking to them. And I went through every period, like from like Japanese painting all the way to contemporary, then back to Renaissance, like Dutch painting. I don't know, I have like these periods all the time, and I love discovering new things. Like every time I discover something new, it's like I discover, I don't know, a new life for me. So it's difficult to name one. My goal is to kind of include everything I love through the art history in all together, and become that artist who will include everything that have been done before. So I don't want to like repeat it, but it will be seen through my work because these things existed before. Plus, I want to integrate the new technologies and the vision of today, so the time is very important for me, so being like in the time, in the moment, but still integrating everything I have been loving through my life. My process is pretty simple, I would say. I mostly paint now from photography that I do. I never paint from other photographies. So I take pictures myself. First I sketch what I want to paint, then I do photographs. I find a model, I take photographs, and then I paint from photographs. Very often I don't look into details of photographs, so I kind of build details myself. I like that process when I just construct, I outline the thing, and when I already catch the character and the proportions, I fill it up with my own details, which looks maybe hyper-realistic, as many would say, but in reality, I built everything myself, and it's completely different from if I would just take one picture and I paint from that picture, it will look very different. So I kind of do this illusion of the hyperrealism, illusion of that is exactly like a picture, but because there is no such a picture in existence. And the very big ones, when I do like the really big ones, oversized, I often project the outlines because it's just saving my time. My production is already very, very long and slow, so I try to save a little bit of time. And I think like we're living in technology world, and using a little bit technology doesn't harm. And art is my life. It's difficult to give like one answer. What is art? Art for me, it's something that I measure the time with, I would say. You know, when I think about any period in history, immediately I relate to the art of that time, of that area, you know, the country, the culture. I kind of measure time with art and music, of course, literature. So for me, let's say art as a global thing. So it's the same thing for me now. Like I measure my life with what I've been doing at that period of my life. It's like kind of reference points, and yeah, that's what it is. Like every day I have to do art. Like first thing I'm doing when I'm waking up, if I go to sleep, I have to go start painting, and only after that, after painting a little bit, I'm gonna go brush my teeth and eat something. But that's how I start the day, and that's how I end the day. And sometimes they blend because they don't start and end. So we know a lot of things because painters have been painting those things. There were no photography, there were no video at the time, so art had that documentation function before. Now is not that much anymore, but it's kind of reflection on documenting things, because we have all these possibilities today and technologies. But definitely art have been very, it had that function for sure, and still have. People were seeing me as somebody who is using very well the color, and I was always questioning what I will be if I didn't have this, if I didn't have that, what will be instead, what will be left. And at some point I was thinking about this technique thing, which is technically a parasite, visual parasite. Like when you have your own style, you add some details, like same details that keep repeating on every painting, which make your style. And I was thinking, maybe it's just a parasite. So if I get rid of it, what will be left? Would I still be recognized as an artist, as myself, or I will just like lose everything? And I decided to get rid of everything, and I kind of came to this realistic looking painting, which was a test for me. I was just trying by curiosity. and I enjoy doing this. I start doing from a very like small Polaroid. I start painting very realistic, huge paintings full of details. So I was again building all those details myself, making it look very realistic. And it's been, I don't know, like now maybe 10 years I'm painting in this direction. Like my last series I started 8 years ago, I think. So yeah, it's been a while now. So I don't have assistants. I even stretch my canvases myself. I don't want to. It's also something like I enjoy doing. I don't want to share it. So I don't judge people who do have assistants or have like huge studios with, I don't know, 50 people painting for them, with them, whatever you want to call it. It's just not my thing. I love every bit of the process, and I don't want to share it with anybody. I love painting when I'm alone in a studio, so I need my solitude. I cannot have people around me. On the other hand, of course, I understand the advantages that you can do like a huge body of work and go to different direction. I would love to be able to do sculpture, do, I don't know, so many different things, different series of paintings, and completely opposite of what I'm doing now. I have sketches of things that look completely different what I'm doing now, and I would love to do that. It's just physically I'm limited to realize all of it. But on the other hand, I have really hard time to sharing it with somebody else. Yeah, chasing originality is a tricky thing today in art, because of course on one hand a lot of things have been done, and there is opinion that you cannot do anything new, you're gonna copy somebody anyways. But I don't think so. When I look at, I don't know, when I think there is so much to do, it's just, I wish I had time to do new things. I think if you are recognizable, like immediately recognizable, it's mean that you found something new. And I think it's very important in art that you need to do, like, you need to give. Technically, the world exists for I don't know how many million years. All we can do is just to give a new look on things, a new look on the reality. So we need to find this angle, and this, the angle that people didn't see things through that angle yet. And I think it should come naturally. If you do it artificially, it will stay artificially. But if you come to that naturally, and those things coming to me when I work a lot. I think the process brings you and opens you to see things that those things wouldn't come to you if you're just sitting on a couch and waiting for inspiration. Like, you know, this image of an artist who like waiting for inspiration. I think that's garbage. It never happens. It just, if you're an artist, you should be constantly in a process, and inspiration never leaves you. I don't even know what inspiration means, because I'm working all the time, so I never had such a thing that inspiration comes or leaves or whatever. I'm just like always inspired. So it's not something that will come to you one day. But I never really felt like I need to find a niche, like say like what is trendy today, like between, I don't know, Jeff Koons and Damien Hirst. There's this niche, and I'm gonna like fill that niche, and that will be a successful decision because of their success. I always like look completely opposite. I try to go look back in times and look to the nature, to the life, like live fully my life and get inspired from that, not from artists that are already successful, because it will be a very temporary thing. I have done more political art before. I was painting crowds, like a huge fresks, murals, And it was more political. I was painting like different crowds. I painted the crowd where I was living in Switzerland at the time, France. I painted a crowd in Africa where I was living at the time, and also in my home country in Armenia, and the differences of cultural differences, social. It was about dreams. So I was wondering what the crowds are dreaming about in each country, because they were like they were so different. They were like extremely different. So the dreams in my hometown was at the time. So I painted the dreams of '90s, which was like very today and this moment, like survival dream. And in Switzerland, where like society is very established and very stable, the dreams were like very, very funny for me. So yeah, I painted this dreaming crowd. I did few political works. I don't do political anymore because I've been, I try to stay away from it. Maybe one day I'll go back and do something. Never say never. Just at this moment, like a lot of things happen in my life where like I try to stay away from anything political because, realizing that I'm an artist, probably, I think when I decided to be one, I think age of 6, because I loved the music very much, so I was thinking that I might become a musician. At the age of 6, I made decision to go into art fully because I thought that music would be. I didn't feel like I can become like a great composer to compose my own music, and being just to play somebody else's music was very limited for me at the time, seemed very limited, which I would love to do that today. But I wanted more freedom, and I wanted to create completely my own thing. So I decided to become an artist, and since that I was painting, I think 7 hours a day, like every single day. I was doing one painting a day when I was like a kid. It was the thing. I wouldn't go to sleep until I finished the painting. So I had this whole wall with like wet paintings drying on that wall. So when they were like coming off, I had to replace it with a new one. It was like the whole process, and I really enjoyed that. I don't think there is such a thing as an absolute taste, because taste is very subjective, I would say, very personal, and we can debate a lot about taste. Like in music, for example, you can say that there is music as a classic music or jazz that have like very rich and more complicated harmony, which makes you take you to a different space, different place, and make you feel and think about things that like pop music would never make you feel and think. I would say same thing is in art and visual. There is kind of an art that will make you very basic and like catchy first feelings, which is like colorful, and it's just like a nice spot on a wall will make you feel excited, happy, colorful, whatever. And there is art which is more like museum art, I would say, if we can call it. The museum art will take you to a different place and question yourself, put a lot of questions for you, and you'll spend much longer time in front of it, analyzing. You also need maybe some background to get into that kind of art. It's like visual language that we need to talk that language to be able to understand it also sometimes. Sometimes maybe too much, it becomes for a very narrow audience, but I still think that there is a minimum education to get into like deeper art, where you can, I don't know if deeper is the right word, but it's like if somebody read you Rilke in French and you don't understand the language, it would just be a noise for you. It's the same thing for art. If you see, I don't know, a contemporary art for the first time, maybe you wouldn't understand much and you would just be questioning what is it about. So you need some kind of preparation, but when you understand the language, it will take you to places that you've never been maybe before. That's actually, it's a goal of contemporary art and any art technically. So if we talk about taste, yeah, it's debatable, but you can say like this is an absolute taste, this is like a higher taste, and this is like a lower taste. If even it's not very respectful towards each other, but yeah, we can call it whatever you want, but there is difference for sure. For young starting artists, I would, if I have to recommend something, I would recommend something that I've been doing myself, is ignoring the art market, art business as a business, you know, as a success story. I would just focus on what is interesting for them and what they are enjoying to do the most. I think that process of enjoyment, the joy, is the key. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, you will not be successful probably, because it will translate, you will see that this is done without much pleasure. And some artists, you can see immediately that this artist is like having a blast doing this, you know. I think this is the most important, and build a body of work before like trying to, you know, to get to galleries, trying to start selling. I think it's very important also to live like a full life, you know, to experiment and experience as much things as you can and getting inspired of it. Not just, oh, like this looks cool, I'm gonna keep doing this and try to sell it. I think this is a wrong way, because it will bring you to like a dead end at some point where you cannot develop much farther from there. But when you start from the very beginning, this process is like building process without thinking about how you're gonna sell and how you're gonna do it. It's a great place to be. A lot of artists that they are not on Instagram or anywhere else, they're still there because people are like keep tagging them and, you know, posting their work, if even the person doesn't have his own page. So it's unavoidable today probably. I spend very little time on it. I try to do a little bit more, but I don't post much. I just don't want to get into this reality where I'm like prisoner of being there and having my presence every day and spend time to read things. So I don't really read, I just post and I'm done. But I love the fact that people are following you, they're following your art. It's a way of, I think, direct contact to people who love art, because gallery's goal is disconnect you from crowd, from collectors, from viewers. They want to keep the only way of accessing to the art through them. And today those borders are like kind of blending. There's no more, anybody can reach out an artist, you know, it's became so much easier. I think things are changing with social media, for sure. Yeah, of course, there is a lot of things in visual world happening today. Social media has definitely influenced that. Fine art, I am not sure like fine art is still existing as a term, because it was very popular before. Now fine art is kind of became like a period of time that was earlier in time. Now it's like more like contemporary art, whatever. But is it competing? I don't know, with everything that's happening today with digital art and everything. I think it have like its own niche and it have its own followers and people who love it. But definitely now it's like a notion of information. I think today the hardest thing is to get being seen through that all information that's coming. And these algorithms and everything, it definitely not encouraging, let's say, fine art, as you say, that because the interest to fine art is much smaller than to all the games, VR, and even like, you know, all this kind of new coming NFTs and all these things that are happening around today. I don't really have one muse. I'm inspired of every little thing. I try to live my life as fully as I can because I don't have that much time left while I'm painting. But I try to take like a few months, a year to travel, to do things, to and just observe. And I observe a lot even when I'm just walking in the street, whatever. Like that's why I'm getting tired when I'm out, because I see so much, I capture so much information every time I'm out that I can get exhausted in half an hour of walking, and I will just need to come back home and take a nap. So I think like observing is where I'm getting inspired. And mostly when I was inspired of things, it was like little tiny things that nobody will even pay attention to it. And it was never through art. I never get inspired of seeing somebody, oh, he did that, and it's inspired me to do something similar or anything. It's the opposite. When I see something that have been done, I kind of say, okay, like this have been done, so like that space is closed for me. Now I have to, you know, like it's like less and less things to possibilities. So even when I'm starting a new series, let's say, I often I don't even go to see any other art, and I don't visit shows. I try to keep my brain away from what others are creating, and so I think mentally I'm more free and more open when I don't see art. So I have periods that I see a lot of art, and then I can have like 6 months I'm not looking into any art at all. And those are the months when I'm getting really productive and inspired. Yeah, Leonardo told that an artist, to fulfill the full potential of an artist, need to be alone, no family, no kids. There is a truth, I would agree with that, but it's not always possible, because first of all, you're a human and you have life. It's not only art. But ideally, yes, I would agree. If I would be ready to sacrifice everything for art, that's exactly how I will be living, probably. Now I have a son already, and it inspires me a lot, but it takes a lot of course, time, energy and thing, but it gives back so much that probably if I didn't have him, I wouldn't have a lot of those things. So it's like, you know, it's difficult to tell. Like once I didn't have, I thought that's ideal, but now I have him, I feel like I got so much more. I got much less time, but I got so much more. First gallery, it was, so after all my childhood shows and everything, I grew up, I couldn't show for years, and I became like a regular student. I was invited to this small school, art school in Switzerland, in Sierre. It's just a small town, and they were transforming that school into an international art school, which was really, really, really nice. And I moved there, I became like a regular student. I was learning French, first time living in Europe. And I was very, very shy. I didn't even talk to anybody that I'm an artist. I'm like painting, except like out of school, let's say, because I was painting all the time. And I had a lot of paintings at home. And one day, I don't remember who came visit me, saw the art. So like, I have a friend who is a gallerist. This is really good, you should see it. The gallerist is coming like half an hour later with a truck, loading the whole truck. I didn't like, why are you like, you can take it tomorrow. It's like, no, I have to take it now. So he loaded the whole truck with art, he leaves. I even forget about it. I didn't really care that much at the time, you know. I never thought that once the painting was done, I really didn't care about it anymore as much. And then I was completely broke. I remember we had no time even to get a beer, and we were sitting with friends and like don't know how to go out and do something. And he's calling me and he's saying like, oh, I just sold everything. come pick up the money, and it was like a lot of money. I never seen so much money at the time. It was for me at the time it was crazy. So that's how it started. It was the first gallery, and then after that gallery, I think another gallery saw my work in that gallery, so they approached me, and it was like that, you know, like always one to another. I was noticed somewhere, then another gallery approached. So yeah. I never emailed or approached any gallery in my life. Everything happened to me. It just happened by itself, kind of organically. Yeah, I was too shy to approach somebody to ask if you want to see my art. I'm actually an artist, so. I think it's important for an artist to sell because first of all, if you're selling, it means you can make your living out of what you love to do. You don't need to work somewhere. Except if you're like, if your parents are rich or I don't know, you have somebody who finances your life, you need to sell to be able to do what you want to do. Like if I'm painting 16 hours a day, which what I'm doing average, like I cannot have any other job. I cannot do anything else except painting or like doing art if I'm gonna sculpt tomorrow. So for that, it's important to sell. And also for me, it's not just the money, but for me, it's very important when I'm finishing the painting. For me, it's just a painting at that moment, you know. It's the painting needs to leave my studio and start its own life and get to as good collection as it can get, because I think, and being seen by a lot of people, because I think the painting is growing into an art later on. It's like, you know, an icon in a church. When the artist just painted it, it wasn't what it is now. When like 1 million people came and pray on it, you know, it gets all this energy, it gets this story, you know, it's seen so much, and it's becoming an object of, even more than object of an art. So the painting have kind of similar thing, you know, even when you're on a secondary market, the provenance is as much important as the artist's name, if it's coming from a good provenance. So yeah, for me, it's very, very important that you sell and the painting travels and being shown and being seen. The idea that your art can become immortal, I think it's cool. Like I wouldn't be there to see it, but I saw this sequence about Van Gogh, that they bring him back on time and show him how successful he became. It was very emotional. I mean, yeah, it's very nice. Of course, it's. I think all of us have kind of ego that we want to stay in time. It's normal. I think it's all like human weaknesses we have, and we try our best. I think. If even we wouldn't be there to see it, but I think the idea that you can make a little part of reference of the time you have been living at, it's kind of cool. I think, yeah, it's really nice, and you cannot do it. It just happens after that you have been living. So. I cannot try to make it. I just try to enjoy as much as I can the process and do as honestly as I can what I love to do. And that's all I can do. And if it happens, I don't know, my grandkids will be maybe proud. And if not, not. But I'm living the present moment, you know. I don't want to think about what will happen in the future.